I'll braze this one up tomorrow, next day one. I did that curve over there tonight. My wife put in this bridge concept, which I think is pretty cool. Uses a pin to locate this end of the track, and that pin goes right into that hole. So, see if I can get this right. I'm going to start by getting as far back as you can, and then line that up. And there it is. See the pin poke right through? So when we get this done, if I need to get to the inside of the track, we can remove that one section. It'll be powered from this side because those tabs are right there. You know. Winter time's coming. Hope to have this done before then, because then I'm gonna have to tear this all down and change it over to snow. So here's another thing. Kind of temporarily have this set up here. This is all work in process. But I'm eventually going to put a bracket back and get my ammeters where I can see them easily instead of just laying here on the side. But I have two tracks now that I have to power. You know, obviously we got this one done. And like I said before, I've got this Romex going to a bunch of blocks. And I've got this bottom track powered from a variety of different places. Right here is one place. And then corner over there. And then over here, you'll see the blocks. That's also work in process. So I was presented with a little bit of a dilemma. I wanted to power this one up here on top to test it, because we got some work to do, some modifications to make. This is definitely in process, not done. It's not going to be news to the people who've done this stuff for a while, but you can ground at different locations around the track and still get better power service. So what I did was, since I've got the Romex going all the way back to that first transformer, and of course I've got this 12 gauge ground, which is a lot, what I did is I put a couple of places on the upper track where I've got the outer rails tied to the ground on that Romex that goes all the way back to here. And then I went from the ground pole on the one transformer to the other. So I only have to have one wire for feed on the variable voltage pole on this other transformer to feed this track. And what I found, which was interesting, is I just temporarily put this up here, right? So I've got one wire on the variable voltage post to the center of this track, just one. But I've got several grounds that go from the outside rail down to essentially the block and on the copper ground on this Romex. So there's several places around the top track where it was grounded to this. And like I said, I went from transformer to transformer. So basically that whole system is grounded pretty much the same way. And the thing I found interesting was as the train was going around, it would speed up at all the different places I have grounds, just like it would if I had put a complete feed there, which tells me that the grounding is more important than the positive pole is. I guess it's not a surprise, because when you look at the size of the wires inside those locomotives, they don't have to carry a whole lot of amperage. So if I've got some amperage at the center rail, but I've got good ground all the way around the track, it's probably going to work fine. Now I plan to add a couple more, but it was interesting to me that I only had to have the one wire to the center rail and then the different grounds. And you could feel the train or watch the train speed up when it got to those locations. I thought that was interesting. In particular over here, because there is no connection between this track and the bridge. Yet when the train got to this, right here, it would speed up and take off again, like they had its own separate feed. And really the only thing I did was ground it, like I said, to the bus system I have. But details. That might be interesting to somebody. And what I got to do now is I got several sections like that one over there where I've got to bring it down into the shop and fabricate it. I got to bend them, braze them. And like this one right here, I've got to take this one here and heat that up and rotate that out to get the clearance I need for the track. And then I broke this when I started tearing this apart to try to get the width I need. So we got some modifications to do on the upper tracks wire. And of course these came from shelving, you know. We cut them all down and use this because I kind of like that look. It reminds me of either Chicago or where you used to have the elevated rail in New York City. So yeah, I gotta do something here. It's not right. This is what I had before. I think I need to go back